Let's finish up on Friday night, Colorado, Georgia Tech. Coach Prime doing it without his son, doing it without Travis Hunter. Caden Salter named the starter this week, although that probably not too big of a surprise to anybody. And Georgia Tech, for the second year in a row, a really trendy pick for a lot of people to make it to Charlotte for the ACC championship. There's confidence on both sides of this. What say you, Cole Thompson?
Oh God, you got to me. Here's what I'm really interested in. I've been talking way too much today. I apologize to all of our listeners and viewers. The thing that I'm really interested in, what is this Colorado team now without Shedeur and Travis Hunter? It's not a negative either. I think that Colorado could be one of the more complete teams in college football by the time that we get to the season's end, just because of that you're not relying on a Heisman Trophy winner and a guy who was not only the coach's son, but probably one of the more slept-on quarterbacks nationally in college football last year. We talked about him a lot, but I don't think we looked at the numbers and saw just how talented of a player he was. You're replacing those two, but that doesn't mean you're replacing the aura and the intensity of this locker room. I really like what they have in Omarion Miller as a wide receiver number one. I think he is going to be a breakout player. I do think that you are going to see Caden Salter kind of take that next step forward. I didn't like the way that he ended last season with Jamie Chadwell, but you got to remember, if we get the version we saw in 2023, that was a coach that that was a player that not only took his team to an undefeated regular season, but also a New Year's Six bowl game. And he is going to have, I think, a better weaponry than he had at Liberty last season. No offense, TJ, but still, it's his bottom line. That's the type of talent that you bring into Colorado because of Deion Sanders' name. The thing that I wonder about most specifically is what is this defense going to look like now with a bunch of new pieces coming on in. They landed Jaheim Otis from Alabama, really good name. Can you stop the run? Can you be able to force a guy in Haynes King that is a good passer, not a great passer, but a good passer, throw the football down the field? You no longer have Eric Singleton, but you still have Malik Rutherford. You still have Dane Patterson that comes on in from FIU. And you have a top 10 wide receiver from my liking in Eric Rivers that came in from FIU that doesn't get enough respect. Just like Jamal Haynes doesn't get enough respect out of the backfield. Jamal Haynes is a top 7 running back in the sport. I love his tape. I love the physicality. He plays the way that you want. He's built like a tight end that knows how to run the football, but he also has great hands, so he can win in pass protection. He also can win out of the backfield as a playmaker. But if you can slow down the rushing attack, because it's not just going to be Jamal Haynes, it's also going to be Haynes King. It's going to go left. It's going to go right. Can you force them to throw the football? This could be a really interesting matchup because if I do think the Colorado secondary is going to be more polished, I do think that their linebacking play, albeit new, is unknown, which could be a good thing. And that could lead you into making mistakes if you are Georgia Tech. So if you can slow down the run, I think that you're in a very good spot for Colorado's defense. Now all you got to do is find that secondary weapon for the offense that's going to be able to take some pressure off of a guy in Omarion Miller.
Point blank for me, I think Georgia Tech knows exactly who they are. Colorado is going to figure out who they are. So give me Georgia Tech on the road to cover. I need to look at the spread here in a moment, and I'll think about a score. But still, for me, I like that Caden Salter's the guy. I like this new opportunity for him. And I think teams inherently change when you lose alpha players. And what I mean by that is, yes, they can be a little bit worse, but also when you have those standout guys, especially at the college level, Big 12 level, you are going to focus a lot more heavily on them, and you're going to ignore other parts of your offense, of your defense, regardless of where they are. I think Travis Hunter got a ton of focus from Shedeur Sanders, from the offense last year. Shedeur Sanders obviously was the center of the universe for all things Colorado. This is just going to be different because it's not that situation where, well, we know it's going to 12. Now you have to cover a lot more. I still think Brent Key and company are prepared to play that type of football and will be ready for that. The law firm of Haynes and Haynes, I still love. I am worried about the receiving core that they have. Eric Rivers being potentially the guy. Okay, you're trying to prove something in general in that department, but I like what Georgia Tech has. So give me the Jackets on the road.
Two big things for me in this one. As somebody who watched it live and in person last year in Dublin and then watched it again in their bigger games where they were mostly healthy. One is the health of Haynes King. He will be healthier in this game than he is any other game for the season because that's how college football works outside of something stupid happening over the next 2 days. He will be incredibly healthy, and that's bad news for Colorado, in my opinion. When he was banged up, that's when they took a lot of their losses, and that's why they lost games that they absolutely had no reason losing last year after beating Florida State, beating Miami, taking Georgia to the brink, all these things. When he's at his best, they are really tough. What makes them so difficult and what was so frustrating watching live in person was they are always ahead of the chains. Like 98% of the time, they're ahead of the chains. And that's because they run the ball so effectively and so efficiently. Brent Key being an offensive line guy, it bodes so well for them and the style of play that they want to implement. And yes, I've got questions about their wide receivers. That's very valid. But they're always in 3rd and 3, man. They're always in 2nd and 4. And so it's just like, when they stay ahead of the chains, they're not passing the ball down your throat. They're not taking massive shots down the field. You're looking at 8-9 minute drives at times for Georgia Tech. And then Colorado comes out and say they find a Salter to Hakeem, a Florida State transfer, or Miller or whomever. Say they find a long completion for a touchdown and tie it up immediately. You're out there for another 6 to 8 minutes because of this just insane Georgia Tech rushing attack. Those two things, Haynes King's health and Colorado's rushing attack and staying ahead of the chains, are so big to me. If Colorado, and this is a big ask, if they can limit, because I don't think they can stop it. I don't think many teams can stop it. If they can limit Georgia Tech's running ability and their running attack, that is their key to victory. That's their successful path to getting the win, an upset win at home against Georgia Tech. I don't see many teams doing that, right? Yeah, Georgia probably later in the year. Clemson, yes, probably will have more success. I don't know that I have the confidence in Colorado to be able to do that yet. They prove me wrong. They'll win the game. I'm outside of a 3 turnover day by either quarterback. Yeah, I think they'll win if they can limit the run. I just don't know that I buy it just yet. So I'll take Georgia Tech in a close one. I don't think this is a runaway. I don't think that's Georgia Tech's style. I don't know. Yeah, give me a fair amount of points, 27-24. Close one for Georgia Tech.
This comes down to 2 main elements for me, but it's the explosive plays for Colorado and the non-explosive plays for Georgia Tech. This is a new defense coordinator. One of the more underrated moves this offseason that wasn't talked about enough. Ty Santucci goes to the NFL. Blake Gideon is hired as the new DC from Texas. So it is a defensive backs coach. Can you eliminate the explosive plays from Caden Salter or Juju Lewis? Make them play a non-tempo game. Make them be able to have to slow things down. And if they cannot win at the line of scrimmage, they're trying to go ahead and force some stuff downfield that allows Georgia Tech to get out of trouble and get the ball back into the offense. On the opposing side, can you force a Georgia Tech team to play can you force Georgia Tech to play with that vertical passing attack? Because if this is going to be a rock fight, this is going to be a dogfight in the trenches. Georgia Tech is going to maul all over Colorado's front seven. Not to say that Colorado's front seven can't get there at some point. It's just right here in the now. I know what I'm getting in this ground and pound rushing attack. And I love the name Haynes and Haynes Law Firm. That is I want that on a t-shirt now. And I think I need that on a t-shirt because of, unfortunately, I'm going to have to pick this game in favor of a team that I have in the college football playoff. Because if I have another team that I picked in the college football playoff, I just trust that I'm going to see Jamal Haynes and Haynes King go off. I just think that we're going to get Eric Rivers to get that big time play. If that happens, this is going to be a very slow moving, but also a very promising game. I'm actually against TJ. I do not think this is going to be a high scoring game. I got 24-17 final score. I think you get one. I'm at a 24-13 final score. I think you get one more touchdown, one extra field goal. If you are Georgia Tech, they're going to run down the clock and force Colorado to win with the explosive plays. I just think it's going to happen. Doesn't mean Omarion Miller is going to be a breakout player, because I do think he is going to be a stud by the time we get to December. It's just not going to happen in week 1. And that happens for some teams.
Give me Tech 27-20. I didn't give a score there before. Sorry.
Yeah, we're all below 30. I don't think it's that high scoring. I guess I went mid scoring, right? 27-24. What's that? 51 point. Yeah, it's 51 points. It's like an NFL game. All right, that's what we got for this week. Little overtime, but man, it's back tomorrow, boys. These last 4 days have been truly hell without it. So I don't know how I've survived.
Always right in the world.
Tomorrow, I don't have to survive anymore. TJ Pinger, Cole Thompson, Tom Hannafin. All the social medias are in the description. Make sure that you're subscribed. We will talk about all these games and, of course, week 2 stuff next week on Monday. Boys, have a fun weekend.